up, come on, put your hands up. Are you ready?
We welcome you guys into a brand new episode of Time2Football as we keep on progressing throughout the week, and we get closer and closer, and an inch closer and closer to the Divisional Round of the 2021 NFL postseason. The Elite Eight, Final Eight, has come down to this. Which teams are advancing? Which teams have the best shot of advancing to the Super Bowl if we were to simulate all of the games, as well as which team has the easiest path to the Super Bowl? I don't want to say easiest because each matchup in the NFL, we don't want to take that for granted. Each team in the NFL that's in the playoffs remaining, we don't want to take them for granted. You never know what's going to happen. But we're going to look at which teams have the best path given who the favorites are and which matchups they could potentially have moving forward to advance to Super Bowl 56. Hello, everyone. My name is Hassan Khan, the host of this channel that we like to call Time2Football. Glad you guys are able to join us on this wonderful, wonderful Wednesday morning, January 19th, 2022. As we are getting prepared to talk about the NFL and the postseason in particular, we want to go ahead and acknowledge that we are introducing a new feature on this show that, number one, you have to have a Discord account. So you got to make that account to go ahead and do this. But I'm going to go ahead and pull up the graphic right here. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you can call into the show via Discord. So if you always wanted that opportunity to chat live with me and you want to say, hey, I have this opinion on this topic, instead of typing it out in the live chat, which you are more than welcome to do. But if you wanted to join on the show on live and you want to talk about whatever it is, feel free to join. Feel free to join. We'll answer any sort of questions that you guys have. Even if it's your opinion on it. Yeah, I think that the Rams are going to beat the Bucks. I think the Packers are going to beat the 40. Whatever it may be. Like, you come in, you join us on the live show, and we're going to be talking about football with you guys on this show. I'm excited about this. I've been testing this out last night. I don't know 100% if it's gonna work. But hey, who cares? Who cares? We'll just see. You never know until you try. So if this absolutely becomes a bust, then it becomes a bust. But I actually tried to do this with Zoom earlier this season, and it ended up being that Zoom, you can't just use voice audio. You got to use like video as well. I don't know. It's really weird. But nonetheless, we have a feature where you can come in, you can call on the show. So make that Discord account. The link is in the description. Just click that link. You join our server. And then under the voice channels category, there's two rooms. One is a waiting room. Two is we're live, brother. So join the waiting room. And then I'll get to you guys at the end of the show when we have the live chat segment. And then I'm going to drag you guys into the We're Live, brother, if you guys are, if we select you to be live. But yeah, I encourage you guys to do that. I'll pop that up throughout the duration of the show because I know some guys are tuning in and out as well. Okay, NFL news and notes that's going around the league as of today. Okay, I mean, it's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday. Nothing really much is going on except that we have some practice news for the people that are playing on Saturday because practice usually starts on Wednesday, but for the people that are playing a day early on Saturday, then you have to start your practice on Tuesday. We're going to get into injury news and who's going to be available and who's not going to be available. But first, we want to get into head coaching updates. What's the latest? What's the latest on the Jacksonville Jaguars, on the Seattle Seahawks, on the Tennessee Titans? Not the Tennessee Titans. The Houston Texans, the Carolina Panthers, and the Minnesota Vikings. Those five teams we want to update you guys on. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, it's looking like Matt Eberflus could be the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He is coming in for his second interview, and it's believed around the league that he has become a finalist for the job. The Colts defensive coordinator, Eberflus, I don't know. But he has become a finalist for that job down in Jacksonville. Now, that could be a win for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We don't know a lot about him. So, you know, that already could tell us, hey, it could be really good, it could be really bad. But I can go ahead and tell you that it's going to be much better than the decision that they've already made about Bill O'Brien. Actually, this is a kind of a win for the Jacksonville Jaguars, if you want to call it that. The Jacksonville Jaguars have finally decided, yeah, Bill O'Brien, We're not getting that vibe. We're not getting that vibe. Hey, he's unlikely to become the head coach. So he's the current offensive coordinator for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and now he will not be transitioning back into the Jacksonville Jaguars organization. Given that the general manager, Trent Baalke, is a big advocate for Bill O'Brien, and that's the reason why they interviewed him. It's like, hey, I can work together with this guy. Cool. Well, I mean, we'll give him a shot. Why not? We'll give him a shot. Interviewed him. Felt like that's not the vibe. So Bill O'Brien will not be the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Phew. I know Houston Texans fans are like, dang it. I want you to ruin my team or ruin our division rival. I want you to lose so much draft capital and trade away your best player and get your, the money. No cap room to sign any free agents. I want you to be in that spot. Dude, can we talk about how David Culley, he was fired. Okay. But how good of a job this past year the Houston Texans actually did winning 4 games? I mean, given the cap space that they had to release J.J. Watt. They had to release Duke Johnson. There were so many moves they had to make, like Brandon Cooks. I mean, he was eating up a lot of the money, but they decided to keep him. Will Fuller, they had to move on with him. Like, there's just so many things that the Houston Texans had to do, and they had to lose so many good star power on their team. And the fact that they were still able to win 4 games, not having a first-round pick, I don't even think they had a second-round pick, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they did. But it's ridiculous how they won 4 games given that situation. But nonetheless, Houston Texans fired David Culley. And actually, speaking of the Houston Texans, Jonathan Gannon completed his interview process with the Houston Texans. So Jonathan Gannon is the defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's in the running for the Houston Texans' next head coaching job. The Seattle Seahawks, they fired their defensive coordinator, Ken Norton Jr. He's been fired, and now he's looking to go somewhere else. Now, the Seahawks, they ranked 28th in defense. There was a little bit of chatter. I think it was just rumors more so than what the Seahawks actually believed and wanted to do about Pete Carroll maybe losing his job. That's not going to happen. He's going to stay there in Seattle. The defensive coordinator, Ken Norton, is the one that's out. 28th in the league in yards allowed. He's gone. He's done. They're looking for a new defensive coordinator. The Carolina Panthers, they are looking for an offensive coordinator, right? Luke Getsy, the Packers quarterback coach, is in the running for the Panthers offensive coordinator job, as well as Tim Kelly, the former Texans offensive coordinator who was under David Culley, and he got let go once David Culley was let go. Those are 2 names to keep an eye for the Panthers offensive coordinator job. And then the last little bit of head coaching news, Raheem Morris has been requested to be interviewed by the Minnesota Vikings. The current LA Rams defensive coordinator has had its ups and downs this year, has looked really good on the defensive line in the front 7, sure, but in the secondary, they give up some yards here and there, but still, Raheem Morris has emerged as a coaching candidate, former head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers during the 2010 Josh Freeman era when he called himself and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers youngery, meaning that they were hungry and also very young, one of the youngest teams in the NFL at that point. I always thought when he said youngery, I was like, why don't you just call it Young Bucks? Young Bucks would be the better term. But he said youngery, which, okay, it doesn't really sound as cool as Young Bucks. We'll leave that to AEW. But that is your head coaching updates for today, Wednesday, January 19th, 2022. NFL news and notes. We're going to continue to move forward with this, but let me go ahead and pop this back up because you guys are continuing to join us. Excuse me. I want to go ahead and mention that you can call into the show via Discord. Just click that link in the description of this YouTube video. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, head on over, join our server, and then there's a voice channel that says waiting room. You just join that waiting room. And then towards the end of the show, in the next 20 minutes or so, in the live chat, just stay in that waiting room. And I'm going to get you guys, I'm going to drag you guys into that other channel, and then we can talk on air. Whatever it is, who do you think is going to win the playoff games? If you have anything about anything that we've talked about on this episode of Time to Football, let us know your thoughts, and we'd love to hear from you. So call in to the show via Discord. Continuing on with the NFL news segment, The practice participants, who's been limited, who is out of practice. Right now, limited for the San Francisco 49ers, we've got Fred Warner, who's dealing with a low ankle sprain, suffered that injury against the Dallas Cowboys. Jimmy G, still dealing with the thumb injury, right? He's still dealing with that UCL in his thumb. Still not so much an issue. I mean, it hasn't kept him out of action. He's actually been looking really good. But he's now dealing with a shoulder sprain on top of that. Kyle Shanahan is very, very optimistic that Jimmy Garoppolo can be playing. There's no chance of Trey Lance being available in this game. But Jimmy Garoppolo is still going to be limited throughout practice just to give him a little bit of rest ahead of this matchup against the Green Bay Packers. For the Cincinnati Bengals, Trey Hendrickson is dealing with a concussion. He has been limited in practice. We're going to have to stay up to date with his participation throughout the week, see if he's available and able to clear concussion protocol. The fact that he's limited and still dealing with a concussion, it's a pretty good sign that Trey Hendrickson is going to be able to play this weekend. Jair Alexander is dealing with a shoulder injury. We know that he's been activated off of injured reserve. He is limited in practice, so I think that the Packers are hopeful that Jair Alexander can return. I think he was activated prior to Week 18, but it was against the Detroit Lions. He had nothing to play for, so I don't believe that he played in that game, but I could be wrong. But Jair Alexander, dealing with a shoulder injury, activated off of injured reserve, will be making his return for the Green Bay Packers this weekend against the 49ers. And then the man we've all been waiting for, Derrick Henry, has been cleared for contact in practice. Uh-oh. Cincinnati Bengals, watch out. The King has returned. He was limited in practice, but the fact that he's able to be cleared for contact says a lot about the progression that Derrick Henry is making and his return for the Tennessee Titans. Ooh, that first round bye was so big for the Titans. So big. You're going to have Derrick Henry, I mean, I would say no less than 90%, 95% going into this matchup against the Bengals. Watch out, Cincinnati. Derrick Henry has returned. Only one big name did not practice yesterday, and that was Nick Bosa. Dealing with a concussion, Kyle Shanahan says that he's hopeful that Nick Bosa can return, but we know what he means when he says that players are hopeful. Kyle Shanahan is one of the head coaches that likes to keep everything under wraps, doesn't like to give out a lot to the media when he doesn't have to. Nobody knows what's going through his mind. Nobody knows the status on Nick Bosa except the fact that he did not participate in practice, still dealing with a concussion, still dealing with concussion symptoms. Nick Bosa, his status is up in the air this weekend for the Green Bay Packers. Leonard Fournette is expected to play this weekend for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the LA Rams. They're going to have to need him, who's activated off an injured reserve, along with Levante David, I believe, and Giovanni Bernard. Giovanni Bernard was able to make his return. Leonard Fournette was not able to, but if he does make his return, he would emerge as the number one back ahead of Keyshawn Vaughn, who has filled in very nicely as of late. Nick Caserio, the general manager of the Houston Texans, says that Deshaun Watson likely will not be playing for the Houston Texans again. I mean, we kind of had an inkling of like, yes, we already know this, that Deshaun doesn't want to play in Houston, but the fact that front office is coming out and saying, no, more than likely, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. That kind of gives us a little bit of more reassurance, like, okay, yeah, Deshaun Watson's days in Houston are definitely over. If you got the general manager saying that. Now, they do have a first-round pick, the number 3 overall pick. And Caserio said that they are open to trading that third pick. So watch out for the Houston Texans. They could be making a move and trading that. I don't know if it's going to include Deshaun Watson, but for a team that needs some draft capital, for a team that hasn't had a lot of cap space as of late, you could trade down, acquire more picks, trade away Watson, acquire more picks, and then you'll be in such a good spot. I mean, if they trade down from the number 3 overall pick, they get someone's first-round pick, maybe an additional first-round pick for next year. Then if they trade away Deshaun Watson for that price, I don't think it's going to be for 3 first-round picks, but maybe like 2 first-round picks, 2 first-rounders, and I don't know, Jalen Hurts. Thanks, Sean Landry, for giving me that idea. Then all of a sudden you have 3 first-round picks for this season. And then next year you have 2 first-round picks. If you trade down and you trade away Deshaun Watson for some draft capital. So the Houston Texans are in a pretty good spot as far as rebuilding goes. And this is, everything's been going downhill after Bill O'Brien, but now this is where they start trending back upwards. But that's your NFL news and notes for today. You guys are joining in on the live chat, and I encourage you guys to continue to leave your comments. I'll go ahead and take a break real quick to acknowledge you guys. Sean Landry actually commenting down below. Bill O'Brien is from the Belichick tree, and it's evident that just because you come from New England doesn't mean you instantly achieve success. That is very, very true. Very, very true. I think the only one that has branched, he was a player. He kind of came from the Houston Texans organization from Bill O'Brien, ironically. Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel is the only one that really has ties to Bill Belichick and has been looking good. I would also say, this guy also comes from Bill Belichick or Bill O'Brien. Wes Welker is actually the wide receivers coach in San Francisco. I think he was an assistant offensive coach, quality control coach, or something like that when he was with Bill O'Brien and the Houston Texans, and then he moves on with Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers. And I know that Mike McDaniel, the offensive coordinator, is in the running for some head coaching jobs. But if Wes Welker continues to do what he does with the wide receivers down in San Francisco, could we be talking about Wes Welker potentially becoming a head coaching candidate maybe in like 2023, 2024? Maybe he needs a little bit more experience, but he could go down that same route as Mike Vrabel. Was a player in New England, coached under Bill Belichick, was coached when he became a coach in the National Football League under Bill O'Brien, and now they all do their own thing. Both of them are players, coaches, not that old. They're both relatively young. Move on, getting a head coaching gig. Just a thought. Maybe Wes Welker could become, instead of a head coach, that's probably reaching for the stars, an offensive coordinator in 2023, and then work his way up. That's just my thoughts. Joseph saying, "What's up? Hope your day is great. Looking forward to all the games, including my Rams, hopefully beating Brady. Game of the week: Bills versus Chiefs. For sure. I think the Bills and the Chiefs is going to be the game of the week for sure. And the Rams and the Bucks, I don't think that game is going to disappoint either. I know that the Rams beat the Buccaneers earlier this season. I think this game is going to be a lot closer than that one. I think they were caught off guard, the Buccaneers. But still, it's going to be tough to beat the Rams in this aspect. All right, now what we're going to do is going to simulate the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Now, what we do every week, we put up a website where, okay, if this team wins, that team wins, how is the next round of the playoffs going to look? And so we're going to come out with our weekly picks tomorrow. So every Thursday we come out with who we believe is going to win and what you guys, the viewers, are saying on social media who's going to win each game. But as of right now, what happens if we simulate all of the favorites to win these games? So I have the spreads pulled up. I have what Vegas is saying is going to win in each of these games. And then I'm going to go ahead and simulate that and show you how the conference championships would look like if all these games were to be simulated in the favor of the favorites. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up this website right here. Where's it at? Give me a sec. All right, here it is. Let me go ahead and switch this over to my computer and put myself in the corner right over here. So we've already simulated these games. These games are final. This is the wild card. And you had all of the home teams win except for the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. So for you guys that are Dallas Cowboys haters, I know there's a lot of them out there. That probably gave you a lot of satisfaction this past weekend. But anyways, this is what the divisional round of the playoffs look like as of right now. Tampa Bay versus LA, Green Bay versus San Francisco, Tennessee versus Cincinnati, and Kansas City versus Buffalo. Let's start with the NFC and then move on over to the AFC. So if we start with the NFC, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the LA Rams. Well, the Bucs are 3-point favorites to win in this game. Despite the Rams already winning earlier this season, you've got the Buccaneers being favored to win in this game. So, if the Buccaneers were to win this game, they advance to the conference championship. Now, they would be hosting a home game if San Francisco were to beat Green Bay. However, if we look at the favorites to win in this game, Green Bay is a 6-point favorite to win. So we just click on Green Bay, and then you have Lambeau Field matchup between the Green Bay Packers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the conference championship. A rematch of the NFC Championship from last season, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ended up winning by one possession and moving on and winning to Super Bowl 55. Now advancing forward to the AFC Championship, the Bengals and the Titans. The Titans, having that first round bye, having King Henry, Derrick Henry back, are 3.5-point favorites. So if we simulate that and we click on the Tennessee Titans, they advance and they're going to be hosting a home game as the number 1 seed. Now, between the Chiefs and the Bills, this is probably the game of the week. The Bills topped the Chiefs earlier this season, but, I mean, this time around, that was the 3-4 Chiefs. It's a whole different Kansas City Chiefs team. Looking at the favorites, this is going to be close. But surprisingly, you will not believe this. Actually, you may believe this because they're actually a very good team. The Kansas City Chiefs are the favorites to win in this game by 2 points. So, if we simulate that, and the Kansas City Chiefs win, you have the Tennessee Titans versus the Kansas City Chiefs and the Green Bay Packers versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that's what happens if all of the favorites were to win these games. Now, let's go ahead and reset here and just have fun with it. What if all the underdogs were to win the game? What happens in the AFC and the NFC Championship? Well, let's say the LA Rams win and the San Francisco 49ers win. You have a rematch of the Rams and the 49ers in the NFC Championship, and this is going to be game number 3 that these guys go head-to-head, and the 49ers have topped the LA Rams in 2 upsets this season. Can they make it a third one? That's going to be really hard to do against the LA Rams, but it could happen. So that's going to be a very good matchup if the underdogs were to win. And over to the AFC side, we're still sticking with the road teams as being the underdogs in this matchup. So the Bengals, we click on them, and the Bills, we click on them. That would be the matchup in the AFC Championship. But yeah, I mean, it seems like at this point, the favorites are the ones to win these games. So the Bucs and the Packers and the Titans and the Chiefs seem like that's going to be the matchup that we're going to have to be looking forward to if the favorites were to win these games. Let me know your thoughts, though. Like, who do you think is going to win each of these games? Who do you think is going to advance to the NFC and the AFC Championship? Would love to interact with you guys and hear your thoughts on this playoff simulation. All right. Now, what do we got? I believe we have a segment planned here where we talk about which teams have the best path to the postseason. So, I'm going to take a moment right here to talk about which teams, maybe, I don't want to use the word easiest because there's no easy team, no easy matchup in the NFL, especially if you are in the Elite Eight. It's going to be very difficult. These teams that you may consider as, this is a cakewalk for this team, well, they're here for a reason. They pulled off their fair share of upsets, and they were able to make the NFL postseason. So I'm not going to say that, but instead I'm going to say the least difficult. Who has the best path to the Super Bowl, to advance to Super Bowl 56? So I'm going to go ahead and read off all 8 teams and just kind of give you an idea of which teams I believe have the best paths, and then I'm going to go ahead and break it down even further. So I'm going to say number 1, the Bills, 2, the Chiefs, 3, Buccaneers, 4, Rams, 5, Packers, 6, Titans, 7, Bengals, and 8, the 49ers. So number 1 being the Buffalo Bills have the easiest path, and number 8 being the 49ers that have the most difficult path. So let me go ahead and start off team by team, kind of briefly talk about each team. Talk about the San Francisco 49ers having the most difficult path. I mean, you're facing the number 1 seed in the Green Bay Packers. Then, if you win in the NFC Championship, you have to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is the number 2 seed. And then, if the Buccaneers lose to the Rams, you have to face the Rams, which you've already faced twice this year, and you've already beaten twice. But both of those games were upsets. by the San Francisco 49ers. And I highly, highly doubt it's going to be very, very difficult for the 49ers to beat the Rams for a third straight time, being the underdog in all three games. That's going to be very difficult. That's why I have the 49ers ranking at number 8. The second most difficult, number 7, on the list is the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, you're facing the Tennessee Titans, which is one of the more overlooked teams, I would say, in the NFL playoffs. It doesn't get a lot of media coverage, but they're the number 1 seed, the best team in the AFC, and the Bengals have to go head to head against them. Well, okay, let's say, for instance, that they beat the Titans. You still got the Bills and you still got the Chiefs left on the plate. That's going to be very, very difficult for the Cincinnati Bengals to top either one of those teams, which the Chiefs have been red hot, winning 9 of their last 10 games, and the Buffalo Bills, what they did to the New England Patriots, that should scare you. That should scare any team in the NFL. So the Bengals are number 7 as far as the best path to the postseason or to the Super Bowl. Number 6, best path, the Tennessee Titans. They face the Bengals, which the 49ers and the Bengals are probably in their respective conference, probably regarded as like the underdog. Like they're not the top seed. They're, more of a wild card-ish team, I guess you could say, but they have capabilities of surprising people. So don't say that the Titans have a great chance of beating the Bengals. They don't. So this is going to be a little bit more difficult. But then if you beat them, then you still got the Bills and the Chiefs, like we talked about with the Cincinnati Bengals coming up. So number 6 team is the Tennessee Titans. Number 5, best path to the Super Bowl, the Green Bay Packers. As the number 1 seed. I'm going to say they don't have a top 3 best path. They're actually ranking at number 5 out of the 8 because you face the 49ers, which is, okay, that's might be a little bit more of a less difficult matchup. I know the 49ers, I don't want to, count them out. They have the chance of winning this game. They obviously have a great thing going with their offense. But the Packers, ranking in as the number 1 seed, you beat the 49ers earlier this season. I mean, the 49ers, that's probably the easier matchup that they have to deal with. But then after that, you have to deal with either the Rams or the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers, you lost in the NFC Championship last season, so good luck with that. And then against the Rams, you beat them earlier this year. But we know that the Rams, their offense, their defense is rolling on all cylinders. It could be anyone's game if the Packers and the Rams were to go face-to-face. Number 4, I'm going to say the LA Rams. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming up, difficult matchup. The Packers, number 1 seed, difficult matchup. And then the 49ers, who you already lost to twice this season, is going to be a difficult matchup. That's why I have them ranked at number 4 and not at number 3, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are our number 3 team that has the best path to the Super Bowl. The Rams, you have to face this weekend. The Packers, you have to potentially face if they beat the 49ers and you win against the Rams. And then the 49ers would be the other matchup that you have to face. Now, the Rams, I have them ranked underneath the Buccaneers because the Rams lost to the 49ers twice this year, while the Buccaneers, I mean, they probably have a shot of beating the 49ers and the NFC Championship. Team number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. You've got the Buffalo Bills. It's going to be a tough matchup. Very tough matchup for the Chiefs. But if you somehow, some way get away from this matchup, you have the Bengals and the Titans. Now, I know that both of these teams, the Chiefs lost to earlier this season. But against the Titans, that was probably the beginning of the turnaround for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's what catapulted them to go on this amazing run of winning 9 of their last 10 games. Against the Cincinnati Bengals, that was the one game they lost to in that 9 out of 10 games. So I would say it's a little bit closer. I would say they have a chance of beating the Bengals and Titans, and that's why I have them down as the number 2 best path at making the Super Bowl and the number 1 best path at making the Super Bowl out of all the teams in the divisional round. It is the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, the face of Kansas City Chiefs are on this hot streak right now. Cool, awesome. But if you get past them, you got the Bengals and you got the Titans. You lost to the Titans by 3 points, so it's still very doable that you could beat them. And then if you face the Cincinnati Bengals, who many people regard as, I'm not saying it, but a lot of other people are saying as the worst team in the AFC playoffs, you could say that the Buffalo Bills have a good shot of making Super Bowl 56. So that's my list, 1 through 8, on who has the best chance of making the postseason. But leave your thoughts, leave your comments down below. Let us know your opinions. I would love to hear your thoughts and interact with you guys. All right. Again, I'm going to go ahead and pull this graphic back up. Call into the show via Discord if you guys are just now joining in. Just know that you can go over to our Discord, click that link in the descriptions. I almost said sign up, use our promo code. What am I talking about? Prize Picks. Sign up for Discord if you don't have a Discord account. Join our server, and then join the waiting room channel underneath the voice channels. And then I'm going to drag you into the We're Live Brother if we want to go ahead and interact with you guys during this live chat segment, which actually, as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and get to as of right now. So let's see what you guys are saying on the live chat. As far as the waiting room goes, we don't have anyone joining us right now, which we'll get to in just a bit. But let's go ahead and interact with the live chat as of right now. Sean saying Bengals are not scared of King Henry, just like The Rock says, just bring it. Oh, yes. I think it doesn't matter what you think. Gosh, I love The Rock. Trade away 2 first-rounders and Jalen Hurts. Hurts, believe it or not, is from Houston. Ooh, talking about the trade to the Houston Texans. Well, yeah, I mean, I could. And at the end of the day, I mean, you give up 2 first-rounders, but Jalen Hurts, the Eagles, they drafted him for a second-round pick. The Texans wanted 3 first-rounders for Deshaun Watson. You could just be like, nah, I'll give you 2 first-rounders and Jalen Hurts. So you have your quarterback of the future, potentially. We know that it could be Davis Mills that's fighting for that spot as well. But then also on top of that, we drafted Jalen Hurts for a second-rounder, so it's not that big of a blow for us. And then you traded away Carson Wentz as well, and that ended up being a first-rounder. So it's essentially like you're trading away Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts and a first-round pick for Deshaun Watson, essentially. Roger saying they're not really Cowboys haters. It's more like Cowboys fans haters because I know I'm one. LOL. Are we talking about like you're a Cowboys fans or you're a Cowboys fan hater? Yeah. I agree with you. Like I've never personally interacted with the Cowboys fans. I know on social media some of them could be like, obnoxious. I know that's what they say. I'm from Georgia, so I know that's what they say about Georgia Bulldogs, UGA fans. That they're obnoxious, but I've never noticed it. Maybe it's because I am one. Nah. I'm not saying that. Yeah, I've never interacted with the Cowboys fans that. I will say this. Okay, Matthew Pogue, he doesn't listen to this show. But for you guys that went to high school with me to Tequila High School, you know Matthew Pogue. You know Matthew Pogue, class of 2011. Hey, he was a Cowboys fan. And I've been a Falcons fan, but what got me into the NFL for the longest time was the first NFL game that I ever watched in my life was the New York Giants versus the Indianapolis Colts. And so early on in my NFL fandom, I was actually a Giants fan for like a couple of years just because I loved the underdog story of the New York Giants. Well, 2006, they didn't do anything. 2007, when they were making that postseason run, Eli Manning was being doubted, throwing 19 interceptions that year. I was going for the Giants so hard. I was like, man, I know they're the underdogs, but I really, really, really want them to win the Super Bowl. And then I remember the divisional round of the playoffs. It was the Cowboys and the Giants in 2007 when Tony Romo was just going off. Wade Phillips was the head coach. Jerry Jones put tickets to the NFC Championship game underneath someone's seat during the divisional round game and said, hey, you want tickets to the NFC Championship game. Saying that, this is going to be a cakewalk against the New York Giants, and they're going to advance to the NFC Championship game. Well, they ended up not doing that. R.W. McQuarters made a game-saving interception in that game, and the Giants were the one to beat the Cowboys in advance. Well, that whole week leading up, Matthew Poe kind of found out that I was pulling for the New York Giants at school, and he wore his Cowboys jersey like all week long, dude. I think it was a Tony Romo jersey. I don't know what it was. Des Bryant was in the NFL back then. But Terrell Owens, that's who I was thinking of. I don't know who it was. But freaking Matthew Pogue, dude. And then he saw me the next Monday. He was so obnoxious that whole week. He saw me the next Monday, and I saw him. And I was like, dude, how about that game? And then he was just like, he pushed me out of the way. Pushed me out of the way. So that's my one interaction that I've had with a Cowboys fan. Joseph saying, I feel it's going to be Packers versus Rams and Chiefs versus Bengals. Okay, you got the Bengals pulling off the victory against the Tennessee Titans, and the Chiefs beating the Bills, and then the Packers beating the Bucks, the Packers beating the 49ers, the Rams beating the Bucks. Yeah, I mean, I haven't made my predictions just yet early on, and this may change. But early on, I got the Rams beating the Bucks, the Packers beating the 49ers, so I'm with you with the Packers and the Rams. But then the Chiefs and the Bengals, I think we have a whole complete 180. Not even 90 degrees. Not even 90 degrees. I'm not meeting you halfway. I'm meeting you fully in the opposite direction. I have it the other way going around. I have the Bills versus the Titans moving forward. Now it's down to the Bengals. I wish the Bengals and the Titans would face in the AFC Championship game. I really do, because I love both teams, and if either one of those teams win, I would be happy. So it's like a win-win, but like I'd be sad if either one of them were to lose, because man, I want both of them to make that run. I really do. Bengals win the AFC, Packers win the NFC. Bengals versus Packers, with Cincy getting revenge for their loss earlier in the season. Burrow for Super Bowl MVP. You know what's crazy is I am not doubting any of that. I am not doubting the fact that the Cincinnati Bengals could go to the Super Bowl. I think you nailed it, Sean. You joined us on the show and you said, yes, the Bengals are our dark horse contenders. Yeah, they are. I've always been riding with the San Francisco 49ers because I've always believed that at this point, like after they beat the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm not really counting them as a dark horse anymore. I'm counting them as maybe not the favorite to go to the Super Bowl, but they're like, okay, if they go to the Super Bowl, it's like, oh man, what a run by the Bengals. That's awesome. But I'm not too surprised. I'm kind of surprised, but not too surprised. If someone like the 49ers were to go to the Super Bowl, it's like, dang, dude, where did they come from? Where did they come from? But yeah, if the Bengals win the Super Bowl, that's not out of the question. And I would actually like to see that a lot because they never won in their history. And Joe Burrow in his second year getting it done with Jamar Chase, with Tyler Boyd, with T. Higgins. That defense is really picking it up with Trey Hendrickson. That would be something I would love to watch. I'm actually very disappointed that no one joined us for the call-in. I just wanted to see if it worked. See if you guys were able to do that, but no one joined in. But that's okay. Hey, that's okay. It happens. We don't have to call in. There's plenty of more shows with an opportunity that you guys get to call in and join us live on air. I know you guys are probably working as well and probably can't call in right now, which I understand. So, but I appreciate you guys joining into this episode of Time to Football. I'm going to go ahead and sign off right here and just say again, very, very appreciative of every single one of you guys that join us every single day. Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. is when we start this live show. So make sure you guys subscribe to this channel. You can stay up to date when that live show stream begins. You get that notification. You can join us live and interact with us on air. With all that said, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Time to Football. And remember, do not be Matthew Pogue.